Welcome back. Today we're going to sheathe the roof. So I was not able to get this roof sheathed before the first snow that we had this year, 3 or 4 weeks ago. But we have several days of rain coming up at the end of the week, and so I would like to be able to get this done before that rain comes. So the first thing I did was I put a jig on my working platform so I could get pieces of plywood up there. We are using 3/4 inch roof sheathing per the architect. I asked if we could go with the 5/8 sheathing because I was interested in the zip sheathing for the roof as well. But the architect really wanted to see 3/4 inch sheathing on here. I think partly because of the 3 foot eave overhangs. That's my thinking on it. Or he just wanted it to be a little overbuilt, which I'm completely fine with. At the end of the day, I was honestly pretty happy. This 3/4 inch sheathing was very dry, and so was not as heavy as it sometimes can be when you get it and it's not rid of all of its moisture. So it worked out pretty well. And as you can imagine, the process for laying the roof sheathing isn't any real different than laying subfloor sheathing. You want to stagger the sheets as much as possible to increase the strength of the connections to the roof. The benefit is that for the roof sheathing, I don't have to worry about tongue and groove like you have to on the subfloor sheathing. And because I built the rafters 16 inch on center, I don't have to use H clips, and so the whole thing just becomes a little bit easier and quicker to put together. The rafter layout was also what would be a determining factor in how quick and easy this would be to get together, and the layout is pretty good. The rafters are straight and square, and for the most part, all of the 4 and 8 foot sections of sheathing that I put down landed perfectly on the rafters as I needed them to in order to nail them down. Occasionally, I would use my pull strap to adjust a rafter, a 1/4 of an inch or a 1/2 inch, just to get the rafter to land right in the middle of the sheathing. And in a couple of cases, I just trimmed an end of a board if I needed to, again, a 1/2 inch or something like that, just to make the next board fit well. But there wasn't a lot of that. There were just a few pieces here and there. The other thing, as I'm getting right to that middle of the roof where the rafters connect from the lower section to the upper section, we have those tails that cross one another. And sometimes what that would mean is that one rafter tail was just a little proud of another rafter tail, and so I would either skim it down with a sawzall, or I used a chisel in a couple of places just because it was a little bit, and that just kept the transition from the lower rafters to the upper rafters nice and true. And in the future, if I build something like this, I'll probably eliminate those rafter tails. When I was putting them up, I didn't see a good reason not to have them, but I think it would have made putting this up a little bit quicker, and they don't serve a really significant purpose to have them. So next time, if I have two rafters that have to sit next to one another, I'll just make the rafter tails a little bit shorter. Anytime you're doing something like this, what you want to do is start with this first row and get it nice and true and square, so that all of the other boards you're really just kind of throwing down and fitting. And these two sections of the house, as we've talked about with the subfloor, are a little out of square from one another, but they're each square themselves. And so I can get the first row on each side perfectly square, and then lay all of the plywood. And then there's that little section, that little stripe right in the middle where the rafters kind of come together at a slight angle of 6 or 7 degrees. It's not a big change, but meeting those things in the middle and dealing with them there is the only place I really have to adjust. And so again, that didn't take me a terribly long time to do. You can see I've nailed some 2x4s down there at the bottom. I did that on the other side as well, and in a couple of other places. They're literally just speed bumps. If in case you fall, you have something to grab onto. It's a nice way to get down near the edge of the building and have sure footing. So anything that provides a little bit of additional safety is good like that. The other thing in that realm of safety is whenever I was nailing any of the sheets, I would always make sure that all of the nails are fully set, and if they're not, I immediately get a hammer and knock them down. There's two reasons for that. One, you don't want protruding nails penetrating the underlayment when you start putting that down, but maybe even more importantly, like, you don't want nails sticking up so that when you're carrying this stuff around on the roof, you trip on them, because that could be dangerous. It's about this point where I feel like I'm going to get the entire roof sheathed and maybe all of the underlayment on before the rain comes. And maybe just because of the way I built the house or how I've gone about doing it, but this, while exhausting and a bit tedious, may be the biggest single change in the look of the house since I've started building it. Getting this roof on really makes it look like a complete structure, as you might think it would, but it's really nice to see. It will allow us to now build out the entryway, put on the final piece of over roof, and then get the final roof here on in a few weeks. I am going to put some underlayment on here. It's probably a little too early to put it on, but I really do want to start drying out the house underneath. And this will go a long way toward helping with that effort. We don't have all the windows in yet either, so it'll still get a little bit of rain. I can put plastic over them until I'm able to get all of the windows in, but this will help dry out everything below. And there's the roof fully sheathed. Very exciting. I was able to run a snap line and trim up all of the edges so everything is nice and square. You can see the view out over the next ridge, and you can also see the septic system right there is fully installed now. So that's exciting. It's completely done, and we've regraded around the house as well. You can see those top windows of the living room section from here. And overall, I'm really pleased with the final product. I think it looks great, and everything's really flat and smooth. It looks really flat and smooth, and so we'll be ready for the underlayment. And at that point, we'll start building out the entryway that I'm walking up there to now. You can see the notch in the plywood, and that's the reason that's there, is because we'll put in an underlay or an entryway there, and then finish the over roof. Now I want to make sure and sweep off the entire roof. Again, I'm going literally 4 foot section at a time. A couple of things, making sure there's no dust, no debris before I put down the underlayment, but again, checking for any protruding nails. And that's where I'm at. I got the underlayment down before the rain. Didn't get it on the other side, but this will start to have a good benefit, and we'll see the rest of it being built out pretty soon. This is where I'm at. Thanks for watching. See you next time.